You could make millions if you learn this lesson from a little worm. You could change your life if you listen to what the lesson these little caterpillars teach. Stay with me. I think you'll enjoy this life lesson for today. Imagine if you just blindly followed what the guy in front of you did, and you just continue to do that over and over. He's called a processionary caterpillar because they have a weird habit. They like to follow each other. They'll walk around in a line for 2 foot, 3 foot, sometimes as long as 10 foot of these worms, all traveling, just zigzagging, walking head to tail, head to tail, head to tail, one blindly following the other one. Well, that's where they get their name, right? Processionary caterpillars. So there was this French scientist hundreds of years ago, Jean-Jacques something, Faber, I can't pronounce it, but you can go look it up. He did an experiment with these processionary caterpillars. What he did was he put them on one of these big round red clay pots, you know, the flower pots? And he arranged these caterpillars on the lip of that pot in such a way that they were head to tail, head to tail, head to tail, one touching the other one in front of them, to where they made a complete circle. There was no leader. There was no end. And then this Frenchman sits back and he watches as these caterpillars march and march and march. After days, after weeks, they ended up dying of exhaustion, starvation, and dehydration. But you know the interesting thing? Right in the middle of that flower pot was their favorite food, pine straw. There was plenty of water. They were merely inches away from their salvation. All they had to do is break away from following the herd. All they had to do is decide to venture out on their own, to think for themselves. Instead of following that guy in front of them, what if I went this way? Let's apply these lessons to our life. Let's use these, whether it's in our spiritual walk, our health, our finances, our family, our relationships. I think it goes without saying, never blindly follow anyone. There's nothing wrong with asking questions, with coming to conclusions on your own. Now, don't misunderstand me. I think you ought to listen to people. Matter of fact, I think the more differing views you have, the more people you listen to, the more successful you're going to become. The only way you learn is by asking questions. That's what I love about children. Why? What is that? How does that work? Somehow we lose that gift the older we get. The second lesson is, why are you following the guy in front of you? Does he have what you want? Is he living the dream that you hold near and dear? You see, I find so many people today are complaining about their situation. They want better finances. They want time to be the dad or mom, to be with the kids. They're tired of that struggle between work and life balance, but they're not willing to get out of the processionary circle. They're not willing to venture off on their own. You know, I live in a very rural area, and quite honestly, I love it that way. I know who my neighbors are. There's no such thing as a traffic jam. You know, I live in a very rural area, and quite honestly, I love it that way. But when I travel to Houston or Dallas, or when I'm on the interstate in Pennsylvania or out in California, and I see all these taillights, one right after the other, I can't help but think about those processionary caterpillars. Look, I know it's scary to go out on your own. I know it's scary not to be the norm. But next time you're feeling frustrated, next time you're questioning your goals and where you're headed, I want you to ask yourself about those processionary caterpillars. Can you learn from them? If so, you could change your life.